welcome back to Bash Bros. And
that's not how this starts.
It did the notorious entrance. Welcome to On the Fence, the show that's about helping you decide whether or not to spend your hard-earned money on the biggest and possibly best releases. Nick,
Hans,
today,
Jethro Davis.
That's absolutely not my middle name. I just saw the mustache and just remembered. Nick, today we are looking at Marvel's Midnight Suns, the turn-based card deck building RPG. That's not a sentence I thought I'd say about a Marvel game. From Firaxis Games.
Yes,
they are the developers of XCOM. But Nick, this ain't no fucking XCOM. It kind of is, but it's not.
Yeah, so there had been a lot of talk for a bit that there was scuttlebutt, some might say, that Firaxis were developing an XCOM game, a Marvel XCOM game. I feel like we'd be more precise. And this was revealed, I think, was it late last year?
Yeah, because I got the
early last year. Sorry, yeah, it was meant to come out. Yeah, so this is Marvel Midnight Suns. It is yes, as you said, a strategy game, tactics game, but there are definitely some big differences from what we would consider a XCOM game.
Oh yeah.
So the main differences are
it's third person.
Well, you've got your heroes. All your favorites are here. It's the Ghost Man.
Okay, right, that's Ghost Man.
It's Captain DC.
You mean no one's favorite? 'Cause she's shit.
Yeah, so almost similar to, I don't know if you played it, Hans. I know Alex did. Chimera Squad, XCOM Chimera Squad, where rather than building up forces and building up like an army of units, you have what is essentially hero units who all have distinct abilities, distinct ways they act, and then you interact with them. And they can't, as far as I'm aware, they can't die.
They get injured.
They can get injured, but yes, so there's no permanent loss of heroes or anything like that. And they have kind of split the game into two bits. You have your combat sequences where you're in a battlefield controlling your units, and we'll get into that in a second. And then you also have these sections where you're back at the Abbey, which is kind of your base of operations for the Midnight Suns, like, battle against Lilith. Which is, I think they say it's like in a pocket dimension based in Salem, Massachusetts. So when you're here, in the daytime anyway, you're mainly getting set up for your missions. So that could be, you can go to the Forge and essentially, I don't want to say loot boxes because that has negative connotations, but you open crates and chests that have a set of 4 cards in them, or 3 cards, and you choose which cards you want to have, while the rest go into the ether, and you can build your heroes' decks. The deck stuff we'll get into, and I'll discuss more when we're actually showing off the gameplay. And during the day as well, while you're here, you can interact with people, you can spar with different heroes every day, different people might have requests, so Nico here, you'll get these choices to be like, hey, I need your opinion on something, and it'll either usually be, get some friendship experience, get some power for your hunter, or get a good ability or a bad ability, things like that.
Oh, thanks, Hunter.
So all that stuff happens during the day. There is a lot to do in and around the Abbey. Like, it's actually quite a decent sized area.
It is a surprisingly big area.
Yeah, I actually thought this was a lot like in Mortal Kombat 11, there's like the third person mode where you can go and explore like Shang Tsung's island from the first game, and like there's a lot of like just kind of environmental puzzles and things to explore in that, and that's kind of what this reminded me of. Like there's just kind of a lot of stuff in and about the greater Abbey area, in addition to just being able to chill with your hero friends.
Yeah, so like obviously there's they had called them the mysteries, the Abbey mysteries. Yeah. So like you'll find shrines and stuff, and then items to put into those shrines. I'm going through a mystery at the minute, which is we find an abandoned church with one of its caves sealed off by a ward. They all kind of just lead up to you getting either cosmetics or better cards with unique abilities, and that sort of stuff. Some palette swaps as well. But like they are actually quite interesting.
Yeah.
Like the one I'm doing is about this witch who helped other witches try and escape the Salem witch trials. Failed, but you know it's that mystery behind it. But I have really enjoyed it. You talked a wee bit there then about the decks and stuff.
Yeah, so one of the main things you do during the daytime at the Abbey is kind of you can upgrade abilities and get new abilities. The way the combat works is each hero has a deck of 8 cards. I know when people hear cards and decks and things like that, they immediately probably start thinking of stuff like microtransactions and loot boxes. There is some random elements in the what cards you can get, but from what I can see, there's no way to just straight up buy good cards or anything like that. I don't think.
No,
it's not that sort of game, not that sort of card game. Like, if these were just random abilities, I don't think anyone would, like, bat an eyelid. But when you start attaching the phrase cards to them, I think it maybe raises concerns.
From what I can see, there's only one in-game currency that is, like, purchasable, and that is purely for... Cosmetics and skins and stuff. But not... Oh, wow, that was really loud. But not all of these are... Not all skins are hidden behind these. There's actual... in-game credits that you can earn via missions and stuff that then you can go use to unlock new outfits.
So the way essentially it works is at the start of each turn in the combat you'll draw cards and they will be made up of the 3 heroes you have in your combat decks, and whenever you use a card it goes back into your deck, and I think it's pretty much just randomly shuffled. Unless a card explicitly states that it doesn't go back in the deck. But the way the decks are made up of, you can have like a maximum of 4 attacks, 2 skills, and 2... Like, yeah, generally you're meant to have... You can have up to 4 of each, I think, but generally it's every hero's deck defaults to 4 attacks, 2 skills, and 2 of these heroic abilities.
And you can only have 2 of each ability in your deck.
Yeah. And if you have duplicates, you can like upgrade them. So that's why you see this gold border, and it's called /plus, because I've merged 2 slash cards into a /plus.
I like the deck building, and I like how they have kind of made it that you can't completely bork a character.
Yeah.
But you can half bork it, like I kind of did. So with my Ghost Rider, I put in too many abilities that focus mostly on using your heroic, so that orange crystal. And he was borderline useless. Literally could not attack unless I had heroic, and yeah, it was just really shit. So I think it kind of is a good point that you can, you know, you do have to be smart about it. Yeah. All of the game can only hold your hand so much. You can still half bork a character. Yeah, it's always not great.
But yeah, so the way it works here in Doctor Strange's deck, you'll gather. I think this is like a save from like maybe like 4 or 5 hours into the game. Still fairly early on, but as you kind of go through, you'll get a wider range of spare cards essentially, and you can fire those in as you see fit. So if I wanted 3 of Agamotto's Gaze, okay, you can only have 2 of the same. That's good.
Yeah,
I don't think I actually realized that. But yeah, so essentially he has here these Widdens of Watum, which deal damage or knock back and give you heroism points. That's what they're called. And then he also has the skill ones. Skills will never probably deal direct damage. They will always give you something
buff. Yeah.
Whereas actual attack. So this may not attack, but it does knock back. So you can actually knock someone back into an object which deals damage. But I'm sure we'll see a lot of that whenever we're in the game. Whereas say the hunter himself obviously has actual attacks that deal damage. You can see by the sword icon there. And then everything generally has some other effect, which is whether it be a knockback, whether it's quick. So if I kill an enemy with this ability, I'll get a card play back. And stuff like, so these heroic abilities, as you can see, like you kind of slowly build up heroism points as you play cards, and then you can expend those heroism points on they're generally considered stronger abilities.
Yeah. The whip, when you upgrade, it's actually pretty good. It doesn't cost any heroic abilities. Your only cost is the random discard. It's quite cool. Nick, it's nearly 10 minutes and you haven't slapped a hydrofoil about, so let's... What did you do? How have you got so many guys injured?
I can't remember. I actually kind of like each character does play... Like, their decks all have different focuses, almost, and I think it's really cool, and it's very good at characterizing them. So later on in the game, you get Wolverine, and his deck is all about, like, chaining, so a lot of his attacks can hit multiple times or hit multiple enemies. Whereas, say, like, Doctor Strange's, like, very few of his actually deal direct damage. It's all about almost like battlefield manipulation and knocking people about into things. I think they've done a very good job with all the characters' abilities, very much making them, like, feel like how those characters would fight in a game.
I agree. Like Spider-Man, for example, when you lock him, a lot of his stuff is to buff up environmental damage. So, as I'm sure Nick will show here, you know, you can throw crates, knock down boxes and stuff like that whilst in battle. And that is how Spider-Man would tend to fight, is, you know, by whipping bot crates and things at enemies.
Not for Spider-Man. Time to return the favor.
So,
We'll find him.
let's, now that we're in a cutscene, Nick,
Every surveillance camera.
what is the story of Marvel Midnight Suns?
So, Marvel Midnight Suns, I believe this was a very short actual comic run, like the Midnight Suns group. And essentially, in the game anyway, you are the hunter. You're the son of Lilith, the queen of demons, or mother of all demons. And you've been awoken, like, hundreds of years ago. You defeated her once, and then it's implied that you died, but were kind of put into a deep sleep or in a coffin, and were there to be in case she ever came back. And she has come back. So you've been risen from the dead and joined up with the Midnight Suns, who kind of make up the more occultish heroes, so the likes of Ghost Rider, the likes of Magic and Nico. And you kind of start then gathering almost actual Avengers, so the likes of Captain Marvel, Tony Stark, and yeah, you're being tasked with taking down Lilith, finding out what she's doing, she's teamed up with Hydra, because you always need generic fools to punch about. So, yeah, this is still fairly early on. I've barely encountered Lilith. In this, the main thing I've actually encountered is she is almost like corrupted Venom, and this is us kind of meeting up with Spider-Man, who's been kind of holding Venom back for a while.
Yeah, overall I think the story is actually quite good. I've enjoyed it. So they really lean on heavily that, like, the hunter has light. There's a morality system. You have lightness and darkness, and it's kind of implied that, you know, if there's a possibility that he could end up joining Lilith at the end of this, although never stated outright. One thing I think I've really enjoyed is that the Midnight Suns and the Avengers don't really get along. They haven't just automatically fallen into, we're all friends here. Like, there's a lot of conflict in the group between, you know, because the Midnight Suns are actually all, except Blade, are really all quite young. And so there's this kind of generational gap of us, like, you guys aren't listening to us, we have a plan. And like, no, we've done this before. We're the fucking Avengers, bitches. At the fuck down. And I think I also enjoy the fact that they've kind of gone for the more comic book look of all the Avengers and stuff. They're not just Marvel or Disney's Marvel Avengers from the cinematic universe. Yeah,
which I felt like that's kind of the trap that the Avengers game fell into, is that they all kind of felt like knockoff MCU people rather than kind of just going in with the comic looks and leaning into. I like talk about leaning into the comics. I actually do think a lot of the dialogue and stuff in the game it does feel very comic book like. I would liken it much more to the comics than anything that's actually in the MCU.
Yeah. Like in this one, for example, Spider-Man hasn't joined the Avengers. This is his first kind of meeting with the Avengers and stuff, and like they do view him as like this nerdy, geeky kid. To do like this one. So yes, as you can see, Venom with a little bit of a revamp in its design. One of the common things is that you will meet many villains from the Marvel comics, and they tend to be corrupted by Lilith and become the fallen version of themselves, which is, you know, what if they were demonic? Let's add horns, because every single one I've seen has added horns. So yeah, Fallen Venom. Everyone gets a fallen version. So this will be interesting because this is quite a long. This is quite a long mission.
Well, I don't plan on going through the full thing. I'll probably maybe do this first section and then I'll load a save about the nighttime stuff.
Grand. Okay. So yeah, Nick, walk us through what we're looking at on the screen.
So yeah, as I said, you get kind of given a card of all, or a hand of all the cards, and there's typically almost three sorts of bad guys. So you have these guys who are just fodder almost.
Yeah.
Like they have no health bar. As soon as they take any points of damage, they will die. You've got guys who have an actual health bar, so he has 36 health, and then you have bigger units who have shields, and then obviously the likes of boss characters as well when they eventually get introduced. So to show that off, like Spider has the ability here that I can chain, so I can hit if I hit a guy who will kill him, which is like this guy, I can chain to another guy, and like I can instantly go back and kill him. So
Yeah, I think like the fodder enemies are actually a really smart,
Gets the job done.
like a smart thing to put in.
Yeah.
I originally kind of thought, what the fuck's the point of an enemy that like dies with one hit? But it's to allow you to make use of a lot of these skills.
yeah,
And also build up heroism. So, so Nick has an ability there, Quick Soul Slash. Any ability with Quick in the name, if you KO an enemy with that ability,
forgot this is how this works.
with an ability, you get that card play back. So, in that right hand corner, as you can see, there's card play. So that's how many cards you can play before you have to give over to the enemy. Your 2 redraws then, or you can redraw any 2 cards in your hand. And then moves is you can actually move your heroes on the field without actually having to do an action. So that's one thing I had to adapt to. There seems to be a common thing with like, because Yakuza Like a Dragon kind of also did it too, which is like you move as you attack.
Yeah.
You know, you don't actually control the movement of your units. You move as you attack, and when I first played it, I thought one move was very stingy of the game. I did feel like, you know, I kind of wanted maybe one move per character, but
So I unlocked
yeah,
no, I haven't.
it would be very. The game would be very easy,
Yeah.
if you could. But there are abilities that
Stuff
do
like that, because like obviously if I had infinite moves, it would be very easy for me to just move all my heroes out of this
Yeah.
zone that Venom's about to throw debris on.
Yeah.
Whereas I needed to be thoughtful about, alright, I need to actually I had a move left, but could I get away with using a card to get the hunter to move out rather than just being able like, oh, I can just move, that's fine.
Yeah. But like I also feel, but there are moves and buffs and stuff that do allow you to move several times,
Yeah.
you know, so it's not like there isn't that option, you know. Poor guy.
Proceeding as planned.
I'm concussed. So like, who would you say is, do you have a preference of your favorite hero to play as?
I really like magic. I really like the portals, and especially whenever you get like, there's a training ability you can unlock later on in the game where you can do knockbacks with your basic move command. And I think once you get that, and like it's a lot easier to start firing people through her portals.
Yeah.
I think she is very fun. I think she might actually be one of my favorite characters, and just in terms of what she can do and how she does it.
Lilith must not have left instructions for Hydra on how to.
I don't have a favorite.
I don't believe you.
I don't want to say my favorite.
Who's your favorite, Hans?
Captain Marvel.
My issue about Marvel is she just feels like I deal a lot of damage and that's it.
But do you, right, I could not state how satisfying it is, right? When you go binary, and all your enemies have just somehow landed up in
Yeah.
a row, and you just fire off a like photon beam, and it just nukes the entire battlefield. It is so satisfying.
Can't whip you far enough.
I will say, if I had to pick my least favorite, probably Ghost Rider. So he has this Hellmouth ability. Are you going to throw the enemy at them? I'm here to save you, ma'am.
Actually, I can't do that because I need to rescue that civilian.
So like one of the things, yeah, so like with Ghost Rider, a lot of his abilities kind of fall around his Hellmouth ability, which is you create a hole that you can knock enemies into, and you can power that up so that as you knock more enemies into it, he actually gets health back and, you know, buffs and stuff like that.
just short.
You've got redraws some stuff.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, don't need to. I don't need to save that heroism.
I don't think you need Thwip either, because it's...
Yeah, it's kind of it's a bit shit.
Yeah, I topped up my Thwip for Spider Sense, because you just draw 2 more Spidey cards. So you got your portal next, so you can actually...
Yeah, but she doesn't have any knockback abilities at the minute. So
yeah.
I'll just knock this guy. Because I'm going to need to save. No, does this move her? I can't remember.
So that's kind of one thing is also then like also how you like how
No, it's not. Okay.
It's like how your heroes move and stuff. So you can see there, some of the like, sorry, with Spidey's knockback there, because it was only a knockback and not a forceful knockback. It can only go so far. It can only go in the conal effect of kind of what's in front of him. So you kind of have to then try and work it out, right? So if I move my hero here, I'll be able to knock him back into here. And like there is ways, if you're really smart about how you play your cards and got a lucky draw, you can absolutely clear the field in one one turn. And there's actually like achievements and in-game challenges for that sort of stuff.
This open season on Hydra and their pet monstrosity.
They will be the next to fall in the hunt.
Secure lines.
I will say, so we have done, or I have played a little bit more than you.
Yeah.
The variety of missions is quite good in the story, but they do reuse the same ones for your. So there's story missions, and then also just normal missions. They call them normal missions, just used for resources, leveling up, and stuff like that. There is a good. Did you not move Spidey, man?
No, you thought of it?
Oh, right, I thought it was that.
No, I will say actually, if you tell someone to do an ability, they will actually generally be very good about where they end up will be outside of any dangerous AOEs.
But yeah, so like the mission variety in game is quite good. Like, so I see this rescuing civilians one. I have not had another one like this in the game. There's another one later on where you have to destroy 3 pillars. Again, there are destroy machine ones, but the destroy 3 pillars works very differently because each of the destroy pillar action is actually a card. So you actually have to defeat the enemy to get the card and then use that whenever there's a free moment and stuff like that. No, I think like mission variety is very good. The side missions or the normal missions could possibly do with a bit of work. Plus the maps, they reuse a lot of the same maps over and over again. But I find them to be quick, and you know you get the resources are useful, you know. So could you not flip behind and kick that box at them?
That's more thing I could get Spidey here, but I'd have no way to actually get him to move out if I taunt.
I would just jump behind that box and kick it at them. Them.
It's just short.
Does that not have a knockback effect of its own though? So will he not knock back into?
I don't think so. I don't think it'll knock back far enough.
Oh, that was very close to hitting magic.
Your fate is sealed.
That did hit her. Weird.
I will say the particle effects and the destruction on the maps is fantastic.
Oh yeah.
It really adds a lot of life to the fights. Like it doesn't do anything in terms of gameplay. It just looks nice and satisfying. The fact also that like, so if you kind of go, can you just go towards the edge there of the map? So like, see the way that the border's there. Although you can't move enemies and stuff out of there, people can still get knocked out of there, and they will come back into the bat. Like that is it's such a nice touch, and it makes this area feel like an actual area rather than just a battle map. So yeah, I am really impressed with how they have made this feel like XCOM, but also not like XCOM.
Yeah.
Like the presentation is very XCOM, like the turn-based kind of strategy stuff is kind of XCOM, but like you said when we talked about it, the fluidity of it is a lot different. I completely see what you mean now. Like how everyone kind of, you don't have to tell people to move, they just move. That was kind of my big thing, like how will they do melee? Like how will they kind of bring that kind of XCOM formula to a melee fighting base? Because obviously a lot of superheroes use their fists or weapons to fight. So I was really curious about that, but they've really nailed it. Like I think they've really done a fantastic job with it.
Oh, why are you moving there?
Well, if you kill both of them, will it not end the mission?
I'll not be able to kill him this turn, I don't think.
Oh, right, he's over there, okay.
He'll die to venom, like, but...
Well, yeah.
KO.
I'll handle it.
Did you turn down the KO quips?
Nope. Still at 100%.
You still have your redraw.
Yeah, I always forget about the redraws.
I know.
Like, I just...
Because I think it's because like I personally wouldn't expect it to like refresh every.
Yeah.
Well, if you use that to hit him, then you can throw the newspapers at him to kill.
I think he's close enough.
But then knock him towards one of the. Yeah, if you hit him, I reckon if you hit him there, we'll check. Oh. You might just be within range of the newspapers. Also, the fact that you can just yeet newspapers at people really makes me giggle.
Yeah.
Only in a New York City like map would that be doable. No. Got one more redraw. Oh no, you're at car plays anyway.
That's fine.
Yeet. I thought that was one of your guys.
Losing ground.
Feeling lucky?
Oh, she doesn't do enough damage to kill him. Come on now.
So, what about? Well, so we've talked about what we do like. Is there anything you maybe are not particularly fond of about the game?
So far, not overly. I'm really enjoying it. I obviously have not unlocked everything. I know apparently this is also a very long game.
Yeah.
So whether it can hold my attention for, like, the reviewers were saying they were able to play it for the guts of 50, 60 hours.
Jesus.
So it sounds like it'll be quite a long game. But, like, I'm enjoying it so far. Maybe it'll overstay its welcome, but so far it's not. I think about 10, 12 hours in.
So story formatting, I suppose one thing I'll kind of say is each kind of, I believe it's 3 chapters, but the chapters are quite long. Every chapter seems to have a new fallen enemy, so I've met the second fallen enemy, which I won't say, but I'm sure you can guess who it was. But I have only just started chapter 2. So that's kind of how long it seems to go on for. There might be more, possibly. But yeah, flip me, it does feel like it's going to be a long game. Like, and I'm not doing, I think I maybe do 1, maybe 2 if I'm pushing for resources, normal missions in between. It's not like I'm grinding. I will say that's one thing I do really appreciate. I have never felt underpowered or overwhelmed. Yeah. I think they do a nice thing, which is any of your lower level heroes actually gain experience with the same as your hunter.
Yeah.
So you're if you have people that you don't necessarily play as, but because say there are some missions that force you to use certain heroes, they're never going to be drastically underpowered, which I think is a really nice.
Pretty much every hero will have a baseline level compared to what the hunter is, and then everyone else, like if you're not if you're not actively using them, everyone else will still level up even in combat.
I actually recently got the ability to summon Charlie into battle outside of the trials. Charlie is your demon dog, and she is a she. She is an absolute sweetheart.
Yep.
I also love that she is like an actual dog outside of battle, but in battle, then she turns into an actual demon dog,
like a hellhound.
Yeah.
So yes, I've loaded I think this is the night time after that mission I was just in. I'm also very lost. How am I getting back to the...
You could just fast travel if you want to.
No, I want to be lost.
You want to be lost, okay.
Oh my god, I am going the wrong way.
I feel like a mini map in this section would help.
Yeah, so yeah, this is the nighttime section after said mission. Nope. What the fuck? God,
Left, yeah, up the hill.
Okay, yep, through here, and then, yep, there's the Abbey. Okay, I'm fine, I'm back, guys.
I've been lost for days.
So yeah, at nighttime, you can't do any of the stuff, like, you can't prep for missions, you can't do yada yada, all that stuff. The main thing you're doing at nighttime is hanging out with the other heroes. So I got my friends here who are all like, hey, you want to hang out? 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 And yeah, generally that's all you're doing. You can still obviously go explore the Abbey grounds and all that, but generally what you're doing at nighttime is attending club meetings, which is just, there are certain heroes that have formed little cliques and will hang out, or hang out with individuals.
Hashtag long live the emo kids.
Yeah, hashtag emo kids. Or yes, you can hang out with individual heroes, and that increases their friendship level, which gives you various benefits the higher it gets.
In your current save, Nick, who are you most friendly with?
I think it's possibly Iron Man. Iron Man or Doctor Strange.
Fucking nerd. Me and Spidey are besties.
Of course you are. You're a fucking Spider-Man simp. But Hans, the main thing you unlock is 6 swimsuits for everyone.
I really don't like that you went right into the tidies. Like, like that is.
Look, this is what he defaulted to.
I know. I
It's
don't.
not my
I
fault.
don't like it. So funny story. I have recently started to encounter a couple of bugs. Nothing massive, but like if I knock out enemies, they T-pose and stuff like that. All right. So I was going to go to shop class, which is Robbie, Tony, and Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
I literally walked in, and there was Robbie and Tony for some reason was in his swim trunks. And we are back. Some slight technical issues there. So if the footage that we are talking over now has a different main protagonist who is bald but has a beard, it's because we're using footage from my save game, just in case we were unable to record anything from Nick's further. Before we go into the proper review then, Nick, do you want to finish off what you were saying about the friendship stuff?
Yeah, so the main stuff you do at the Abbey at nighttime is socialize with the other heroes. They phrase it as like, oh, whoever you take on missions is probably going to be more likely to want to hang out, but I haven't really noticed that specifically, to be honest. But overall, you kind of just talk to them, and then you're given an option of like 3 things that they want to do, and some things are better than others, but it's that sort of stuff. So, and you also have gifts and things you can give them, and I actually like those little interactions you have with them. I generally think they are very well done. Like Magic, literally anytime she wants to go somewhere, literally just wants pretty much to sit in silence, and if you refuse to actually talk to her, her friendship level goes up, which I think is quite funny.
Yeah, and I think, like, you know, they also start to change as the main story progresses.
Yeah.
So again, without going into too much spoilers, there's a big thing that that happens that sends Doctor Strange in a bit of a depression, and like when I now interact with him, he kind of just only talks about this event, and he's just like, you know, what am I now? And yeah, like I say, that's really cool. And I have found that these abilities that are used are that get from these friendships, like, so they're actually like team up abilities, which do massive amounts of damage, and they are fantastic for taking down big bads and enemies and stuff in like 1 or 2 shots. And then also it is also, and I think it's kind of become a staple for Marvel games now, is just seeing all the different suits that you can unlock for your characters is also very cool. I'm even getting to the point where like I can unlock new suits for the Hunter, who obviously, I'm pretty sure the Hunter is like a new character for this. Like there is no present for this character in the comic lore, so like they can kind of go a bit all out with their suits, and they have pretty much free reign of what they can put them in compared to the other guys who they're obviously more constrained about. They still have to look like these characters, whereas the Hunter, they can kind of just take some liberties and go kind of balls to the wall. Yeah. Just you mentioned there about the Doctor Strange thing, I have noticed one occasion where whatever way I did events, someone said something that lined up with like something that actually hadn't happened yet. So I went fishing with Blade, and like this was pre-Spider-Man revealing to everyone he was Peter Parker. Yeah. And he says his name, and you're like, you shouldn't know that right now. But like that stuff, like minor, if it's minor things like that, that's fine. Like branching stories are always going to have that little weirdness,
quirks like it's. I think it's mainly because like it was the like one day I think where Spider-Man doesn't reveal his identity to everyone. Yeah. So I'm sure like there is probably a very slim chance of that happening to a lot of other people. It just happened that Blade brought up Spider-Man in a conversation,
or maybe he knew all along.
Maybe yes.
So Nick, I have a question to ask.
Yes.
If I was on the fence about Marvel Midnight Suns, what would you say to me?
I think this is a very, very good game. I can understand why a lot of people were off-put from the outsider looking in to like with the idea of it being a card game and what that maybe entails, but there's none of those predatory practices in this game. Like, yes, there's microtransactions to buy cosmetics and stuff, but nothing that directly affects the gameplay. I think the gameplay itself is very fun. It is a lot more fluid and a lot more dynamic compared to something like XCOM, where it's all super grid based. It's all do this percentage chance for this to happen. It is much more, you are like almost trying to plan out moves like 3 steps ahead and things like that. And I think that's very, very interesting. And I think as well they've done a very good job of characterizing all the characters, both in the gameplay and the way they interact with the hunter themselves. Like each character plays like you would expect that character to fight, and also they act like that character when you're having these more intimate conversations with them back at the Abbey. Overall, I think it's an incredible game. Yes, there are concerns that it might potentially overstay its welcome a little bit, but even if I get 30 good hours of this before I feel like maybe this is dragging on, I still would call that a massive success, and I look forward to those 30 hours.
You just saying that, I just saw myself there, so I put in 23 hours and I've just finished Act 1, so if all acts are roughly the same, you are looking at about a 60-hour game.
Yeah. But overall, I would highly recommend the game. I think it's, for them, for what was initially pitched at the outset of like Marvel XCOM, like I think it would have been very easier for them to just make an XCOM game with Marvel characters, but I think they've went out of the way to make it feel much more like a superhero game, and it's all the better for it. Hans, if you were on the fence, knowing you've also been playing, or if I was on the fence,
Where am I? What fence am I on?
whose fence is this?
Why am I on a fence?
If I was on the fence about Marvel's Midnight Suns, what would you say?
This game exceeded all my expectations. I was quite hesitant. Like you said, a card-based XCOM Marvel game, those 3 things, to me, shouldn't have went together. But no, this game is... I've thoroughly enjoyed my time with this game. I think the story's interesting enough to keep me going. It's a good Marvel, story. All the characters, bar 1 or 2, I really enjoy. Some of them can be a bit of a dick, but all in all, really good. Gameplay is really enjoyable and very satisfying whenever you do exactly what you want to do. Side stuff, yeah, like it's quick and it's rewarding. Yeah, I had kind of very low expectations going into this game, and it's blowing everything out of the water. I've super enjoyed it, to the point where it could be a late game of the year. Probably not, maybe not game of the year winner, but definitely on my top 5. In my top 5, absolutely. So that is Nick's and my opinions on Marvel Midnight Suns, currently available on Xbox Series X, Xbox One, PS4, PS5, PC.
I have not tried this on the Steam Deck yet.
I don't think it's not on Switch, right?
No, it's not on Switch.
Ranging from I think 55 to about £70, depending on your console of choice.
Yep.
Thank you very much for joining me, Nick.
Not a problem.